I don't like to use the word old, but as we're on the earth longer, as further we get from high school, the more our body adapts and changes and we stop moving so much. Well, that's changing because the lifestyle that kids are with technology, they have this technology in their hands earlier and earlier, so they're moving less and less. So I think, we have to gamify stretching or else it's just going to be boring to kids. It's boring to adults.
So,
Okay.
welcome to SafetyKay Safety Tips, where we cover important child safety topics for teachers and educators and children. I'm Kay, also known as SafetyKay, and today's segment we will be talking to Dr. Lawrence, a nationally licensed doctor in physical therapy, a public speaker, and life optimization coach. Each day, he is thankful for his family, his health, and his opportunity to help others grow. Specializing in rehabilitation and training both individuals and elite athletes, Dr. Lawrence emphasizes education, believing that understanding the why behind actions is crucial for success and recovery in life goals. Dr. Lawrence began his career as a personal trainer in 1999, later earning his bachelor's in kinesiology and a doctorate in physical therapy. He opened a CrossFit gym in 2013 where he coached and offered seminars, motivational talks, and training. 2019, Dr. Lawrence launched Life Prescribed, as you can see on the t-shirt, consulting
Hmm.
company focused on life optimization. He authored your Life Prescribed, a guide to transforming challenges and into healthy habits. He hosts fundraisers in honor of his late father, promoting the connection between physical and mental health. His passion for helping others maximize their potential bridges the gap between fitness and overall well being. Thank you for being here, Dr. Lawrence.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for
guys,
having me.
yes, thank you, thank you. And of course, safety is just not about avoiding accidents, but it's also about promoting lifelong health through smart practices in fitness and ergonomics, from maintaining good posture, stretching, to keeping kids and adults proactive. That's kind of the key role in overall well-being. So let's dive into essential tips on how simple daily tasks and habits can help prevent and improve fitness and health and improve both health and the physical well-being, of children and adults. So we'll jump right into it with a few questions. So
Yes,
first of
ma'am.
all, focusing on children, why is stretching important for kids and how can it help them stay healthy and avoid injuries?
Yeah, I think stretching and movement are important for everybody, but kids because, our bodies are made to move. We're made to hunt and forage and kill things and move on. And the lifestyle these days has changed. And while, I don't like to use the word old, but as we're on the earth longer, as further we get from high school, the more our body adapts and changes and we stop moving so much. Well, that's changing because the lifestyle that kids are with technology, they have this technology in their hands earlier and earlier, so they're moving less and less. So I think, we have to gamify stretching or else it's just going to be boring to kids. It's boring to adults.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
a good point.
Unless you see the value in something, you're not going to make a change and do it. So with kids, I find it's important to gamify things, and in that sense, it's important that we do it with them so that we set a good goal, we set a good example for them. We're not just telling them to do something and then them expecting to do it just because we're telling them to. So, but the importance is because your body will adapt to the forces that you put on it.
Mhm.
So if we lift weights, we get stronger muscles. If we run a lot, our cardiovascular system gets stronger. If we read a lot, we get smarter. If we write a lot, we get a callus on our finger.
Mhm.
But if kids sit all day, every day, then they're going to get tighter and tighter and tighter, and then their body's going to make them a better sitter.
Mhm.
So we need to get outside of the box that we've made for ourselves, and that box becomes more prevalent early and early in life because of the current lifestyle that we live.
Yeah. Can you share some simple stretches that kids can do at home or even in a classroom to stay active and flexible?
Yeah, I've found that I use a combination of things, and it's an eclectic approach. And people don't want to just sit around in this day and age. We get things right away, right? Amazon has kind of trained us to get our package before we even know that we have it. So if people can move around and feel like they're doing something, then they're more likely to adhere to whatever kind of program that we have. So I do a lot of down dog with people, some yoga moves, some cat cow, lizard. But I combine that with what's called animal flow or ground locomotion. So we're kind of trying to mimic different animals. So when we're moving in these particular ways, then we're mobilizing our tissue, we're stretching things out. So, I mean, if I had to pick one, I mean, maybe down dog to lizard and then throw some foam rolling in there. That may mean nothing to somebody that doesn't know what that is, but yeah, I think that would be one. Everybody's always like, give me the one stretch that would help my back. And it is just an approach that you have to hit from all sides. But, again, to answer your question, if I had to pick one, then I might start there. With some light, easy yoga. And I do it every day in the morning. I do it for the first 5 minutes of my day. I wake my son up and we do it together. And it's just kind of moving around, getting our body ready for the day.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think there's like a relationship to, getting that movement and being in the moment and focusing and like the mental aspect of right when you do yoga and you're kind of waking up and you're focused and you're not distracted. I think it's a great habit to
Yeah.
definitely implement for sure. So in talking about like stretches or exercises, what can children do during those breaks to help with concentration and reduce stress? And I think you bringing up yoga, I think is kind of a great answer to that. But if you have something more to expand on that.
Yeah, I think it all kind of relates back to us doing it with them so that they have a knowledge base of what to do whenever they have the opportunity to do it. If I just tell a kid to sit down and stretch their hamstring, then I mean, again, that's kind of boring. So when they have these breaks, movement is important, right? Even as adults, we don't want to take a break from doing work and then get on the phone, right? They don't want to take a break from coloring or doing math and then go do biology or some puzzle. We want to get them up and moving, increasing blood flow to the brain, increases cognition, increases awareness. So I think movement is the key, and incorporating different movements. Eventually you'll be able to just kind of play with your body and move around like an instrument. I often say that the body is the best tool that we have. And so if we know different movements to do, and then we can start combining them and start making different things up, there's people that are doing some crazy stuff today. And I don't expect that right away. I don't expect some cool, YouTube video right away, but just to start moving around, during your break as opposed to just sitting in a different position. You know what I mean?
Why is like stretching and movement so important when preventing injuries? Or what things should children do to kind of prevent injuries?
Yeah. Because your body gets tight, because your body adapts to the forces that you put on it. You start to move is a good example, right? So like if my shoulders are falling forward, I can't raise my arm up all the way, right? But if I'm standing up tall, then my body works, right? We're the most pristine Lego set known to the history of man, right? We're made to work in a certain way, and when we try and do things that we should be able to do but don't have the range of motion to do because we've gotten tight, then that's when injury occurs, right? We try and reach outside of our box when we're not used to reaching outside of our box. So, again, moving in different ranges and really kind of all ranges. And again, that's why I like this kind of animal movement, ground locomotion. These things will get us out of the box that we've made for ourselves so that when we go play, our bodies are used to being in that position, and we don't just pull a tight muscle or pull a weak muscle for that matter. So.
Okay, great. And you mentioned animal movement, which honestly I just learned about like last year. And because I'm a runner, I'm always looking for, of course, recovery is important, right? Stretch. You mentioned foam rolling, which is like the best thing, right? It's important before running, after running. The animal movement. I discovered it. Maybe because the YouTube channel I found, it was a little advanced. I'm like, wait a minute, this is more
Right.
serious. But it was probably me going to somebody's page is a little bit more advanced. But I found it to be quite helpful, as far as like using muscles you normally don't use, especially being a runner. We are very quad dominant, so we have a lot of imbalances, right? So animal movement, I'm glad that you brought that up because I just learned about that last year. I have never heard of it. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's basically just like moving yoga, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Hmm.
so there's different methodologies that people
Hmm.
have. But at the end of the day, it's again just moving outside of the box. Like if you're just a runner and you're running this way
Yeah.
all the time, then your
Hmm.
body's gonna make you tighter and tighter at doing that. So to try
Yeah.
and make it more efficient. So
Hmm.
yeah, just change things up. Cross training
Hmm.
is good for you. So I'm glad you
Great.
found it. It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. So, can you provide tips on how children should listen to their bodies and recognize when they need to actually stretch or rest?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I could. Um, we kids brush their teeth because they were told to brush their teeth from day
Hmm.
one. We eat when we're hungry, and they know about doing that because when they become cognizant enough to listen to their body, they start to eat, and their parents told them to do that. We shower. We do things for ourselves because we've been doing them forever. So I think the value will come, or them listening to their own body will be learned from their parents telling them to listen to their own body.
Hmm.
Nobody wants to sit out from playing,
Yeah.
right? Even I have grown up patients that are like,
Hmm.
well, can I still run on this
Yeah.
broken Achilles tendon? I'm like, can you take a break? Like it's okay to break. Um,
Yeah.
I think if we can find a way to test and retest with patients
Hmm.
or with kids,
Hmm.
it's like, look how much better you feel
Yep.
after you take a little break.
Hmm.
So it's not just telling them, hey, you need to take a break and you'll be better,
Hmm.
but to illuminate how they feel after they do certain things, whether it be rolling or stretching or
Hmm.
sleeping or taking a break, that really gets a light bulb in their head because they
Hmm.
see a difference.
Yep.
We do that all the time in the clinic. I have, most people foam rolling at some point in
Hmm.
their stay with me. And what we do is we test the motion and then we roll a body part and then we retest the motion. And typically 99.9% of the time, people are like, wow, I get it. Right. It feels much better.
Hmm.
I feel more available range of motion. My muscles feel like I can use them more. I'm not as restricted. And so to test and retest, they're like, how'd you feel today after eating that, you know, fast food? It's like, no, I felt okay. And then you feed them some, salad or chicken or whatever it is, something healthy. And it's like, well, how'd you feel today? Was there a difference?
Hmm.
So to like really illuminate and use these life experiences as lessons, I think that's where they're going to learn the most.
Adult portion, right? So questions. And I know this is going to be useful. Well, even I feel like the kid stuff was useful for me too. But what are some like, so someone like me, I sit down a lot for work, right? So what are some effective stretches for adults who like have desk jobs that are sitting down that can help with, back? I know for me, like if I'm sitting down a lot, I typically will say, okay, my hip is a little tight, but it also may have to do with like running and then coming and sitting in this position. But some people may experience like back or neck pain. So, what is some
Yeah.
tips or advice you have for that?
Yeah, we're not made to computerize. My wife hates it when I use that term, but it is a verb in my mind, so like to sit and look down all day, we're just not
Mhm.
made to do that. So
Mhm.
you're right. It's things that we have to do outside of those times that to make up um, for the deficit that we've created when we're sitting. If you wanted to do some down dogs or some squats or foam roll your upper back, again, people just listening may not know what these things are, but if you look them up, it's instead of walking down the hallway to get a drink of water
Mhm.
to take a break or walk to the printer or
Mhm.
whatever it is,
Mhm.
do a little bit of foam rolling, do a little bit of the down dogs, stretch whatever's tight. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like, as long as you're feeling something, then address it and then it will get better. Don't just wave it off and be like, oh, I'll fix it later. Or I hope I can run tomorrow because this tight hip,
Mhm.
fix it at
Fix it.
that point. And then anything that you do, movement, stretching, rolling, it's going to increase blood flow. So it's going to make you a better employee, mom,
Yep.
boss, whatever it is. It's going to increase blood flow to your brain, and you're going to be more aware, more astute. You're going to have better ideas. So you'll come back to what you were doing before with a clearer head and be able to perform better mentally because you used your body physically in that little break.
And how often, like, what's the frequency that someone should be doing this?
Yeah, that's
It
a
may
tough one
kind of,
too.
it may be dependent on, I guess, how often I'm sitting down and how long I'm sitting down and duration. So I know that all factors into, we try to tell employees, take a break every 40 minutes and walk around,
Mm.
right? But you want to be realistic, and it also depends on if someone, how long someone's sitting down, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, you're right. And what they do before that, like you said, did you
yep.
just go run a 5K and then come down and start doing some work?
Yeah.
Um, our mind works in these 90-minute rhythms, right? Your circadian rhythm is at night when your kind of body just shuts down in the dark, and then you have this ultradian rhythm. So, I'd say to get the most out of that 90-minute window, you're not going to sit down and just start putting out just
Hmm.
content and just be like deep focused into your
Hmm.
work. So anywhere from 45 to 90 minutes. But
Hmm.
if you're sitting for that long, then you need to do something, right? I
Hmm.
think 90 minutes is like the end,
Yep.
kind of end of the range. That's a long time. But I mean, people are focused and they're doing the work and they're lost in it. And that's okay, is what I tell people. You just have to do something after. You just have to make sure that you take that break and shake it off and come back with a clearer head and feeling better. I mean, how much can you concentrate when your hip is hurting?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's a distraction, so fix the distraction,
Hmm.
turn the TV off in the other room. It's the same thing. Like fix the distraction and you'll be better off. So, I'm not sure if I answered it specifically,
You
right?
did.
But, it's kind of based on the individual, what they did before,
Hmm.
what they typically do, how active
Hmm.
are they?
Yep.
And then if you can, ideally have that sit to stand desk, and then
Yep. Hmm.
some little buzzer on your phone says, okay, it's time to just, and then keep going. And then, but another buzzer 20 minutes later, go
That's a
back to
great
sitting
tip.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's probably the best.
Okay. No, I like the buzzer. I think that's very helpful because it has to, if not, you just get so consumed and so focused, right? I guess if an adult starts experiencing early signs of like musculoskeletal pain or some type of ergonomic issue, what do you recommend they do initially? I guess this is like your average, typical, what should they do?
Yeah. Hmm. Move more. I mean, I hate to be this broken record, but
Yeah.
move more. So there's a difference between starting the process
Hmm.
and jumping back into what you're doing in high school,
Okay.
right? We get a lot of things, unless you're a year out of high school, but we get a lot of people that try and go from like couch to 5K, and they're like, okay, I used to run 3 miles in 20 minutes, and so let me go see how fast you don't want to start that process just right
Yeah.
back where you came from,
Yeah.
or just lifting weights or just running or, just stretching. And again, that's why I like these kind of moving yoga poses or ground locomotion or animal flow or whatever you want to call it. It just kind of gets your body moving. Do what you can do.
Hmm.
Right. And then, like you said earlier, listen to your body. If something's tight or weak, don't force it. Right. There'll be a time that we can go, no pain, no gain level. But right
Hmm.
now we want to do things to the pain, not through the pain.
Yep. Oh,
Right? We
good.
don't want to cause pain initially, because then that's going to shut down motivation, and then you're just going to be even worse off where you started.
Great. So we're coming up to our last question. Can you provide any guidance on how to stretch safely without overstretching or,
Hmm.
or injuries, especially for beginners, for someone who's like, okay, let me try to be a little bit more proactive in movement, right? So what
Yeah,
should they do?
absolutely. You alluded to it earlier, like listen to your body, go to the pain, not through the pain. And then honestly, it's consistency over intensity. Like if you're intensely consistent, then you're going to make better gains than if you try and get it all back at once. Like again, I used to be able to touch my toes. So let me see if I can put my head on my knees, with my legs straight. Um, it's just being thoughtful about it kind of throughout the day. So if you start the day with, some 3 minutes of movement or something like that. And then you have a buzzer on your phone that reminds you to fix your posture. And it has to be a different buzzer, by the way. It can't be the same ding or ring that you
Yeah.
have. It has to be some annoying thing that you
Yeah.
have to be like, oh God. And so, you have that throughout the day, and then you go home and you sit on, I call it commercial stretching, right? You sit on the ground with your legs straight while you're watching TV or reading or watching the kids. And then you're stretching just being seated, so like you work these things into your life, these little habits, so that they're healthy habits, not hassles, right? Let me go in the other room and stretch my hamstring because, Seth and SafetyKay told me to go stretch my hamstring. That's not what we want from people. We want people to just build these things into our lives. Again, we brush our teeth before we get cavities because we know that that's going to happen, right? And these breakdowns in the muscles or in the musculoskeletal system are going to happen earlier and earlier because of technology, and it's just a fact, right?
Okay, great. So what book would you recommend? You have
Besides my own,
go ahead and recommend yours. This is a great time to plug.
shameless plug, shameless
Yes,
plug.
yes.
Um, yeah, I read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It's a philosophy book. It's a book on how are you thinking? Why are you thinking what you're thinking? Thinking about metacognition, like why am I thinking about this stuff, and how can I reframe it? I think accidentally, I think I'm a little bit philosophical because I'm like, why do we do this in this certain way? Well, is there another way that we can do it, right? Do I just have to go to the gym to lift weights, or can I get into shape in a better way? Just as an example, but it's not necessarily a page turner. It's a little bit of a tough read, but I think it'd be good for anybody. Yeah.
Okay. And lastly, tell us where we can connect with you.
We are on all the social media, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, at Life Prescribed. Yeah, so just look up Life Prescribed and we're there.
Okay, great. Do you want to share anything else about Life Prescribed? Do you want the people to know?
Just that we're here to shout from the top of a mountain to kind of make the hassles of daily living into healthy habits, right? And my goal is to teach people how to use their body as a tool so that the way that they live can become an asset to their life as opposed to a liability to their health. So we make it fun.
Okay, great. And you're located in
I'm in Houston.
You're in Houston. Okay,
Yes,
great.
ma'am.
Great. So
Yes, ma'am.
people want to
Yeah.
connect, they can. Okay, great. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for being here, Dr. Lawrence. And thank you for anyone who's watched. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel for a new segment on SafetyKay Safety Tips. See you next time.